Hey, thank you so much for joining me in my little corner of the world over to you. It is wonderful. We're heading out of summer 2026, getting into September of 2026. I don't want to say fall time because it's still really summer until, well, here in the ATL, it's really summer all the way up until like maybe October 10th. It's just, it takes forever for this humidity to break. It is really rough here. This has been a very rough summer. It feels like being in the rainforest. That's how crazy it is. But, we plod along here and we try to get along. And, this is the season where the little AC units have to work overtime. It's really tough on them. I feel sorry for them, but what a big help it is to have the AC. It's like I'm giving these air conditioner units like a human quality. Anthropomorphic is how they would say it. But feel for them. It's really tough. This has been really just rough. You just stand outside and you're already sweltering. It's been very, very tough here in the southeastern United States. I wish I could go to Maine for most of the summer. Wish I could. Anyway, I have a really special show today. I am speaking with Josh Joplin of the Josh Joplin Group. And this is an artist who spent a lot of time here in the ATL. So we do a little bit of Atlanta connection, talk about our past quite a bit. We're kind of the same generation. So he's got a really nice, generous catalog of wonderful material. It's really, really nice. Check him out wherever you can on the streamers. But more importantly, as we talk in this episode, go out and see him. He's just an amazing live performer. He had a huge hit with Camera One, which was very big in the very early aughts, um, not too far after Y2K and all that. He just came out with, the group came out with a new EP called Useful Music 25th Anniversary Edition, which celebrates that milestone achievement album. So get it wherever you can get music. Great catalog of music, like I say, and we kind of dig into the previous album that he put out called Gap Year GpYR, as it's cutely and aptly named. And check it out wherever you can. This is a really, really fun thing. We kind of go back in time, back into the early 2000s, of what was going on here in Atlanta. His catalog really started in the mid 1990s. So just here, and he really had a really, really great time here. He's in the Midwest now, and we talk a little bit about that. And he spent plenty of time in New York. But this is somebody who didn't finish high school and got his GED, as he says in the interview, and really made a name for himself. It's an incredible story, and just wow, what a talent! What an unbelievable talent! It's a real pleasure talking with people like Josh. Anyway, talk with you on the other side of this thing. Where are you at this afternoon?
Chicago. Yeah, so we live in Chicago now,
Cool.
after 27 years in New York.
New York. Yeah, it's a good change of life there, change of pace as
It
well.
is.
I grew up in the Cleveland, Ohio area, so
Oh, we love Cleveland.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Is that where you are now?
No, I'm in Atlanta. I've been,
Oh, fabulous.
yeah,
Okay,
nearly 4 decades.
okay, so we've crossed paths then for
Oh
sure.
yeah.
Okay, terrific. Oh, wonderful.
Yeah. No, the connection we have is with Sean Mullins. And
Yes, I love that.
I share a birthday with Sean Mullins. Sean Mullins is about 1 year younger than me. Same birthday.
I love that. Yeah,
Yeah.
he's wonderful. So I actually got to see a lot of him this past year, which is nice.
Oh, cool. Yeah. Plays a
Yeah,
lot of gigs around here.
he does.
Last time it's been Sewanee. I don't know if you've gone up to Sewanee, Georgia.
Is that the Red Clay Theater? Is that the one?
That's Duluth.
Oh, okay. Yeah, no, I haven't been up to Swanee.
I'm in Peachtree Corners, which is pretty close to Norcross. It's
Sure.
developed quite a bit over the years here. And Duluth is right up the road. Red Clay, Eddie Owens' Red
Yeah.
Clay Theater up there. And Sewanee has an outdoor amphitheater over there in their little town square.
Oh, that's great. Yeah,
Yeah.
there's so many beautiful additions to all of these places. I We played Woodstock last year, and they have a really beautiful amphitheater, and they have a town center square. The whole yeah. When I lived there, I almost never. I don't think I really ever left inside the perimeter very often. Maybe Vinings. I have a
Yeah.
friend in Vinings, so I would do that because it was just yeah, the traffic and the car and the whole thing. And I was just not. Never really got to know a lot of the places outside of Atlanta.
Yeah, and very understandable. It's just it's a bear getting around. It's only getting worse. It's
Yeah, I'm
just
sorry to
people
hear that.
they're coming here and coming
Oh,
here.
yeah, they are. So, well, that's a tribute to Atlanta, I guess.
Oh, totally, totally. Yeah, Vinings is a cute little village. I have a
It
friend over
is.
there,
Yeah.
and just to get over there, I got to make a day out of it. It's crazy. I got to take a whole day off. Just gotta cross that top end perimeter I-285, which circles the city, which
Right.
many metropolises have this
Right.
huge perimeter.
Yeah,
Oh,
exactly.
gosh. That's cool. So how did you end up in Atlanta? I know your story's all out there and everything, but I wasn't sure how you like wound up here. I know Kevin Kinney was
Yeah,
pretty
that was
close.
well, I didn't know Kevin, but a friend of mine, I was living very hand to mouth in New York City for the time that I was there, briefly living essentially in the living room of a friend of a friend's house or apartment. And I just wasn't getting traction to be able to stay there, let alone, just
Sure.
even money and all of those things. I hadn't really prepared for what New York would be like. So a friend of mine had suggested that I wasn't so off the beaten path, but I was just in the wrong city, and that folk music, there was, I guess, at that time, fast folk, and there was a lot of people doing folk, even in New York. I just hadn't made those connections quite yet. And someone gave me McDougal Blues. He gave me McDougal Blues, and he said, "You should go to Atlanta. There's a lot of folk music there," having no idea that Kevin Kinney really wasn't a folk singer.
Yeah,
So um,
that's true.
the or the music critic there, Jeff. At the time, his name is out of my head for a minute, but he introduced Kevin and I at a party of
Oh,
his.
cool.
But he was at the time. I don't even think he was the music critic. He was on 88.5, the big radio station. His name
Yeah,
was
yeah.
Jeff
Oh,
Clark. Jeff Clark.
mm.
He introduced Kevin and I, and then yeah, I it dawned on me that he was not a folk singer, but I was sort of, you know, I had gigs at Sylvia's Atomic Cafe, which was on McClendon,
Hmm.
and then I had a few gigs at I guess it would have been Trackside at that point,
I
and
used to go to Trackside,
yeah,
right? Yeah, in Decatur, Georgia, right near the railroad tracks there.
exactly. So
Oh my gosh.
that's why I stayed.
Oh my gosh. Goes way back. Yeah, I had
It
some
does.
friends who played over there many times, and then I remember the origins of Eddie's Attic, which I know a
Yes,
lot of acts
exactly.
who
Yeah.
played there. Wow, yeah, I definitely get some experience here because it's a great music town, just like a lot of other places. But Atlanta is just so unique, and definitely I can understand why you were like in Candler Park and places like that all the time.
Yeah.
Um, just a lot of artsy people in those areas, and it's very inspirational. It kind of rubs off on you.
Yeah, it was. I lived in Cabbagetown, and so my neighbors were a wonderful gaggle of fantastic artists, and I really that was very. I was young. I had quit high
Sure.
school, so I hadn't fully experienced life on my own in one place. I had been traveling around in this van that I had, and I got when I got to Atlanta, settling somewhere was new in a way that I hadn't before. And then on top of that, settling in a place like Cabbagetown, which has its own, or it's not Cabbagetown of today. It's a
Oh
very
yeah.
different kind of Cabbagetown then. But having artists as friends or neighbors, even that had a very special effect on
Mm.
me.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, Atlanta has just changed so much being here nearly 4 decades. I've just seen so much go on. Whereas like places like Cleveland, an older city, way older city, so the changes weren't as rapid. Of course, the
Right.
usual suspects always come in, like your Home Depots and
Yeah.
Longhorn Steaks and those places,
Right.
but that happens. But Atlanta, wow, it's just this constantly changing, evolving place, which is it's exciting, but pretty
Yeah.
exhausting too.
Yeah. I imagine.
Yeah, and then you probably see this in Chicago, which is just like very rich and a very deep history, but it has its own, like the Chicago blues and jazz. It's just
Right. Yeah.
incredible over there too.
Well, and so I had moved from Atlanta back to New York in weirdly enough in '98. So
Hmm.
it was fairly it was a long time ago, right? At this point, '98 is a long time ago, and
Mm.
the record label just said, "Oh well, we can't tell that story too. We're gonna just say you're an Atlanta band," and we mostly were. But it's just kind of funny when I think back on it. So, uh, but having spent so much time in New York, more than half my life in New York, having moved to Chicago recently, the landing has been incredibly soft because I love it here. And had I known even a few years ago what I know now, I probably would have been much more excited to come. I just didn't know what to. I didn't know what I didn't know. So I love it here. We, I think I didn't realize how much the water and the lake would be a part of my everyday experience because we live over by the lake. But also, you're right, the music. It's a very welcoming city. And bringing it full circle, one of my neighbors in Atlanta was Kelly Hogan, and
Yes.
she lives here, and so it was quite kind of nice to have her help connect me to one of the venues here that I'm going to play actually in October, called the Hideout, and it's just that reconnection with somebody who was very loomed very large in my life when I was in Atlanta. So for her to be here is kind of nice too. It feels full circle. I don't know if it is, but it just feels that way.
Yeah, life does that though. It's
Yeah,
just
it does.
you find that in whatever career you're into. It's just
Sure,
like things do really kind of come full circle.
they do.
It's just amazing. So growing up, I mean, you wouldn't have ever imagined, being in music full time. I'm sure it's just like, how did you even get started? What was your earliest inspirations getting into this?
Um, well, so I grew up in Lancaster, Pennsylvania, in a kind of a it was a I would say very much a blue collar uh, neighborhood of duplexes and things like that, or not duplexes, but whatever the bi-level
Yeah, we had that in
housing
Cleveland where you had
association. Yeah,
shared
yeah,
houses.
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Well, there was that, and then there was also anyhow, a lot of the folks I grew up around were worked in at Gabriel Toys and Flex Steel and a bunch of other RCA and a bunch of other shift workers. So growing up, I, I think we did have a bit of a limited idea of like what the possibilities were, but I don't think that I ever felt that I didn't know what I was going to do. I was a terrible student. I had a lot of learning differences, and they would call it dyslexia back then. It certainly wasn't dyslexia as it is known now, but it's kind of a catch-all. So school for me was probably my biggest challenge. I did like growing up. I had a bunch of friends in the neighborhood, and it feels like I grew up in a way that I can kind of relate to even older generations of growing up latchkey kid, but also just being able to have farms around you and all of these things that were adventures, I guess. So once my parents decided they were moving to Columbia, Maryland, because my father worked in Baltimore, that 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 changed kind of my outlook. But it wasn't necessarily because it made me happier. It was just I I was able to meet people who were much more I guess well they had much more ambition,
Yeah.
and they were open to trying things. And I went to a Quaker school, so it was a lot of young people who were very bright and very much in touch with their passion. And at I was probably 14 or 13, my age, I haven't even really seen anybody my age hug one another, let alone,
Mm.
it's
Sure.
just not how I grew up. So a lot of that was culture shock. However, coming out of that, I did start to connect to, I wanted to be an anthropologist, and I started to connect things to that. And then I took a travel literature class, and I think it must have been ninth grade, and that changed everything for me. I read William Least Teetmoon's Blue Highways, Woody
Mm.
Guthrie's Bound for Glory, and Travels with Charlie. And I just made all of these connections, these synapses in my brain started to work. And some reason I just decided that I needed to travel. And so by 10th grade, I left school and I started to pursue travel.
Mm.
That's what I wanted to do. I, and I busked. That's how I made,
Yeah. Yeah.
well, I mean, I worked odd
Me.
jobs, but I busked. Yeah. So
Yeah.
it was kind of like all of these combinations of things. And I took music seriously, but I didn't know how you'd make a living at it. And yeah, it was just one of those things where you kind of, you keep doing it because it pays off for you somehow emotionally.
Yeah.
It
It
doesn't
does. It
necessarily
does.
pay the bills all the time. It was definitely, it's not an easy way to make a living. Uh, but coming out of that, I think I knew I wanted to. That was the one thing I knew I wanted, was
Yeah.
to do music.
I mean, honestly, I mean, them saying, or them, your educators, supposed educators, obviously they couldn't handle it as well back then as they do now. But like, there's no learning disability here because I mean, you obviously learn guitar. You read, you
Yeah.
had deep stuff here.
Well, it's interesting. I think about this a lot. I like I said, I know how lucky I am to have gone to this school, which changed my life. And ironically, I'm not a student, like I said. It was Sandy Spring Friends School outside of Olney, Maryland, in Sandy Spring, Maryland. And the truth is I arrived at that school really, truly, probably not having the ability to read at the level that I should be reading. I certainly could not do math, and that ended up being its own gift, because the director of the middle school said, "Well, I'll let you miss a math class once a week if you take an instrument." And
Mm.
because he understood that music and math are interconnected, and that I just needed to get to some basics. And I wanted to play drums, but I didn't have a drum set. We had a guitar at home, so that was the beginning of it. And in fact, I just went to my that teacher who made such a huge difference in my life. And I know we all have teachers that do that for us, and we're lucky for the wonderful teachers that that make those kinds of connections. But he he just passed away, and we just celebrated his life. And to see all of these people coming out for him, and having similar stories, but also stories well beyond my relationship with him, was just, it was really special. And he, he changed me from not having a passion about anything to having a passion for something. And that passion was guitar. And like I mean, how can I return that favor? So, John Staley, wherever you are,
Mm,
thank you. I know it's in you're well taken care of, and your
that's
memory
great.
will always be a blessing.
Yeah, definitely. That's fantastic. That really is. Just, very inspiring to hear that and just, building upon that. And again, yeah, I mean, you never thought, well, yeah, could I make a profession out of this?
Right.
Because people just, most
Yeah.
people are in like dad bands or whatever,
Right.
on the side and go into a practical career. And so your parents, how did they feel about you getting into this?
Well, yeah, you're right. I started out just wanting to miss a math class once a week, and then I started to get really passionate about it. I think um, I was by by 10th grade, which I didn't complete, but like by the 10th grade, I I did have I wasn't a troublemaker per se. You know, I did get into trouble, but I wasn't somebody that my parents worried about making terrible choices that I told them at the time, and I think this was right before we were going to have winter break or something to this extent. We were gonna have some kind of break, and I said, "Well, I can take the GED and then I can start community college," and I think that helped land the plane a little bit. But I just never went to community college, and I can't prove that I have my GED, but I do. I just don't know where it is. So no one in my family thinks that I have a degree of any kind because I've never been able to show them a piece of paper. And I can assure you that it is printed on the finest dot matrix paper that you can, you can, the markets will allow.
I remember the report cards coming in like that too. Oh my gosh, it's
Yeah,
like something out of that movie War Games.
yeah, exactly.
Like, oh my gosh. Yeah, I only dreamed like, Matthew Broderick's character, phoning it in and being able to get
Yeah.
and change your
Oh,
grades.
yeah. Oh, I would have loved that too. Yeah, that was the highlight of that movie for me. The possibility of changing my grades.
Exactly. Never like school. It's just, it's definitely not for everybody. And what we're noticing now in today's world, it's like you don't really have to get that 4-year degree. There's so many other things where there are needs for people to work. So
Uh,
should never feel bad about that. Like,
yeah.
okay, Colin,
Well, it's funny. Yeah, I totally agree. There's many professions that have never really needed a degree. I do, I guess I push back against the fact that you don't need a degree. I think it was easier when we were younger that you didn't
hmm
need a degree because you weren't tracked by an algorithm. And now you are. And as a result, if you put into that algorithm and say you don't have a degree, you don't even get the chance to make it to another place. You're
hmm
just automatically shut out of the algorithm. Of course, I think what you're also saying is trades are much needed, and we do not need degrees for trades, and so trades can. And I'm a huge proponent of expanding community college and making colleges more affordable. I think everybody probably is, so it's not a very risky stance to take. But
I
I
know.
really believe that so many people can be reached um, at at where they are. Where they are, and finding people where they are is imperative for education going forward.
Totally, totally. So getting into the music business, as far as recording goes, dealing with studios and all of that, your first album, was it released in the mid 90s? Is that's
Yeah, so like 90s. Yeah, it was. We had two records that we put out. The first record that we put out was really just to get gigs, and then we put out another record locally, and we toured that, and that's when we started to really get momentum and become one of those bands that were sort of ubiquitous in the 90s, where you could just make a career by playing live music and selling your wares out of your van, and so we did that uh, until we made useful music,
Yeah,
which
it's
that was
great with with the technology now. It's like
mhm,
people can you can record anywhere. It's going
true.
back to the 90s, you did it traditionally. It's just,
Yeah,
I think that's really incredible with technology. Problem is, and I always keep saying it, anybody can get the gear and do it, but like not just anybody. It's so hard to break out and to stand out in the field. There's just so much stuff out there now. It's so segmented.
yeah, it is. I mean, I think I've spent a lot of time over the last probably at least few years thinking about what a unique moment in time I got to live through and I had gotten to witness. And so, being somebody who kind of came out of the end of the 90s and the beginning of Y2K and the music industry and all of those things, I'm I get a lot of I'm it just doesn't cease to fascinate me how many components existed, but that were developing at the same time. So the future that we're in now was already being realized, with Napster in music and the music industry not sure how it was going to respond to that. Then it responded terribly. I started at a label, and I won't mention the label, but a label. I started at a label where there was tons of employees, and I think by the time my record cycle with them had left, there was maybe 5 employees. It was just this incredibly wild uh, time that that created it was the time where home studios were starting to become affordable. It was also the time where social media was about to start making its debut.
Mhm.
And yeah, it was, I'm kind of lucky. I'm really glad I got to see it from this side, uh, being in it and, seeing radio at its, most consolidated. And we were literally riding the last wave of independent radio as it was crashing and landing on the shore, and that
Right.
was kind of it had already kind of um, it already kind of consolidated into the clear channels of the world.
Yeah, it was consolidating and
Yeah,
consolidating more and
totally.
more.
Yeah, really, it was wild.
Yeah, and you flash forward to today and look what's happened with Cumulus, bigger radio operation has to cut costs because the industry, terrestrial radio has just been declining so long.
Mhm.
And see good people, losing their careers in companies like that. So that's it's always a bummer to see that happening. And they just get bigger and bigger and then they cut back and kind of kill the whole thing that they took over.
Yeah.
It's a sad state of affairs when it comes to that. And just everything changed with Spotify and all these other platforms just getting into it and really kind of killing it. And even before satellite radio came into the mix too, but it's a whole different world now.
Yeah, I remember someone, I was going to the offices, I think it must have been Sirius, but I don't know that for sure. But going into the offices and someone explaining to me what satellite radio was going to be, and that
Mm.
was very much during that moment of time. It was sort of in that window. I always think of it, my 15 minutes of fame was sort of maybe a year and a half of, being chasing this song, Camera One, around the world. But at the very end of that, we did an interview on Sirius. And I
Mm.
just remember thinking, so this is a satellite that's now, beaming radio waves back, and they were like, "Well, not. It's a subscription," and that was the part that I couldn't fathom.
Right. We
This is
couldn't
a
wrap my head around
subscription.
that.
Yeah, exactly. So they were like, "It's an HBO for radio."
Ah, there,
Yeah.
good comparison. But I was like, how's this gonna work? What are you talking about?
Yeah.
Like Howard Stern, you're giving up a great gig. What's
Yeah.
going on here?
Yeah.
Yeah, that really did change the game quite a bit. So this is the silver anniversary of Useful Music. Just
25 years.
25 years said, hey, let's go put out an extended EP. Let's resurrect this stuff. Camera One, the big single,
Mhm.
shopped around everywhere, like you were saying there. And you got a bunch of different versions on
Mhm.
this extended EP.
Well, I wanted to, kind of, maybe this comes back to my anthropological interests. I wanted to try in my own small way to put out something that could communicate the the immense diversity of challenges and opportunities that were going on in the year 2000, and the things that a musician and who was starting out might try. We tried all kinds of things, not so much because we were chasing fame, but because things became available to us. Drum machines, that
Mhm.
was something we tried, and we did. We could The record label would spend a fortune on all kinds of different producers because they were trying, and then there was just it was a very, very, um, for me at least, a very interesting moment where I'm in something but blind to what the full radius of it is, you know.
Yeah,
So I don't know how else to say it.
it's
Anyhow,
yeah.
this is supposed to be, these are all the outtakes from that time. And these are all the things that, for me, I was really obsessed with David Bowie's I'm Afraid of Americans. Do you
Oh,
remember
I'm afraid of
that?
Americans. Yes, yes,
Yeah, yeah,
yes.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
I can't remember what that record was, but I was obsessed with like all
yeah.
of the studio things that could be done, and I didn't have the tech savvy to handle that. And frankly, I didn't have a home studio, so we tried things that way. Also, our first producer, who wasn't Sean Mullins, who went on to produce the record later, really, really wanted to capture our live music. And our live music was, and probably still is, very different than what I'm able to do on record. I don't know that for sure, but I think it's,
Mm.
so a lot of what Rob Gow wanted to pursue was playing in one take, getting it down, and very much like an old school look at recording. And so, yeah, this is supposed to just be like, these are all the things that went into making this one record, and the money that went into it, and the effort by multitudes of people that went into it. I think that record has, even though Sean did the majority of the production, Jerry Harrison produced Camera One and Matter. Peter Collins produced I've Changed. I mean, as I start naming the songs that had other producers in it, I realize, oh, that, yeah, Sean brought us into the studio, but like once it went to the record label, it just became a very, very different monster.
Yeah, they spent back in those days too.
Boy,
What
did
it
they ever.
I mean, they threw money at things, and then
They
you get your comeuppance after a while.
Yes, well, that is true. That's why I tell everybody, you really don't need to sign to a label until it's a bank loan, right? A label is a bank
Right.
loan. And so you're taking money on somebody else who might not invest in you, because a label, that's what they're investing in. But if you don't need that loan, just, you don't need it, and you don't ever. There are careers that really shape up because they've started with a strong foundation, and the label's able to to do so. It's not always don't sign to a label, but it's like you don't really need to sign to a label unless you you are at a place where they become your partner in it.
Yeah, I could see it work for some. It's a great
Totally.
foundation, like you say.
100%.
And then some others, doesn't it really kind of constrain certain artists, like saying, you got to answer to them, though. They're kind of in control. I mean, they could be a good partner, but maybe some artists might not mesh with that.
Yeah, I feel like we were on a very special label. So my experience on that, I've been on other labels since, and it wasn't the experiences weren't nearly as special. But we had Daniel Glass on sort of one side of the label. These are titans of the industry, and to this day, Daniel Glass was in promotions, and Danny
Mm.
Goldberg was kind of the I guess publicity management side of things. And these two guys really for we were very lucky because it seemed both of them liked Josh Joplin group. So I don't know.
Good.
They all had their projects and things like that. I felt like we were helped because we had done everything we could do as a band. We had sold records on our own. We'd gotten to a place where we needed we needed somebody else to come in and sort of unlock certain things. And we took it as a we spoke to one another as a band and said, let's give this a chance and see how it goes. And at the end of the day, if it doesn't work out, we're no worse for it,
Yeah.
and we weren't we had a ball. We got to tour everywhere, and we were very grateful in many ways for the ability to see the world on a song.
Yeah. Did you open up for some pretty big acts?
We did. Well, it's funny because some of the acts, like one of the biggest acts we opened for was Travis, but they're just gargantuan in Europe, but they weren't as big here. So
Yeah.
they can do things. We did get to open for a lot of big acts. I think the other part of this reminder journey I'm on as far as like this moment in time, because this will be the last time I throw myself a celebration for something that happened. I'm not a very nostalgic. Well, I don't tend to stay in the past. I just move forward, and that
Yeah.
was a time. But in this, because we had a song at radio and it was at number one, you would get these wonderfully strange gigs where you were playing with for a radio market, and they would have these festivals like their own version of Jingle Ball or whatever.
Right. Yeah.
the
Those
the
jingle
kinds
jams.
of talent, yeah, Jingle Jams or whatever. The kinds of talent that we were matched with were just sometimes so uh, surreal and funny, and that was actually something we did a lot. And so yeah, so there were people that we got to run into as a result of that. I think I wish I hadn't been as exhausted throughout the whole time. I didn't realize that we probably our touring was ridiculous, and I never got to stop. Like it's because we would do touring, and then the label would have me continue doing press, or I would continue, and Cry Me a River. It was fine, but I wish now that I had been prepared and prepared myself for much better sleep habits, because I think I would have been more keen on knowing who my fellow travelers were. I was constantly using any time I could to close my eyes. That's a huge part of that year of my life was like, oh, we have 15 minutes before we have to do that. That would be 15 minutes I would close my eyes. And unfortunately, like, oh, that could have been 15 minutes I could have spent with one of these wonderful artists that we're playing with who we have nothing in common with, but I could have had this time with. So
Yeah.
I don't know if that's in the regret column, but it's definitely I wish I had known.
Yeah. What could you do?
Yeah,
Regrets. It's kind of
exactly.
a wasted
It
exercise in
is.
a
It's a
way.
wasted exercise. That's
Isn't
right.
it?
Yeah.
It really is. I mean, you've done what you've done, and now, yeah, celebrating with this release,
Yeah.
which now were you really involved in picking and choosing how this package was gonna come
Yeah.
about?
So basically, I've just held on to everything. Well, I say that I held on to everything for sure, but back in 2011, our house was flooded by Irene, so I lost a lot of stuff. But the one thing I was able to keep, and I have a few other things, but the one thing I was able to keep was the recordings and some of the things that we did that were completely different, but around the same time. And then we re-recorded
Hmm.
some things with the original band. So it was a multitude of different approaches, and I just wanted to have 8, 9, 10 songs to show that this is what went into this one record and in 2000 or whatever it was, So
Mhm.
um, I thought of doing it in 2020 when it was 20 years old, or 2021. But with COVID and everything like that, so I had kind of been prepared for it, and I dedicated this whole summer to celebrating it, and then I will never speak of it again. It just will be it will just be what it is. It's out there, and people can find it if they want to. And we have vinyl of the actual record, and that's new, and that's a part of the celebration as well. So there's things that I just wanted to do. Also, having come back into music, having taken some time off, I really wanted to just be able to do everything I've set, myself up for, or set goals out for. And this was one of them.
He reminds me of the big legacy artist. Like I remember I sing Bowie at the Omni, and
Uh,
that tour was like, I'm doing the hits, getting it out there. You can even suggest the hits you want me to play here and everything, and I'm done. I'm done. This is my past. I'm moving on.
oh, interesting. Yeah, I really, yeah, I respect that. I mean, although I also respect, and I tend towards this, I'll play songs I want to play, but I also know there are songs that I gladly am happy to play too, that might be better known than some of the songs I will choose to play.
Yeah, yeah. Especially when you're a legacy, it's like you have to do this. Otherwise, it's like they paid you to see to hear these hits.
That's right. Exactly. I think going to see Bowie and not hearing, I mean, there's
Space
Ziggy
Oddity.
Stardust. Yeah, exactly. There's so many things,
Yeah.
so many hits you could name. But yeah, I would want to see Ashes to Ashes, which he
Oh
did
yeah.
do uh, when he was going around for one of the tours that I saw.
Yeah, later on. I mean, he still had to do them, but not
Right.
everything, not as
Right.
extensive as
No.
he did in
Yeah. Exactly.
1990.
That's amazing.
Amazing. So you had to be your own anthropologist with your own material, digging up these demos and
Yes.
kind of going into that. That's
Yeah.
yeah, that's interesting. Did you have to do anything technically to make these things sound better? We got so many better tools here, like Pro Tools and all these other audio programs
Yeah.
out there.
Um. We didn't have to do, we had recorded most of this record, a lot of this record, and that's yet another element to when we were recording. We started this record on 2-inch tape. We
Hmm.
ended this record digitally. Like, that's, I,
Yeah.
I mean, I know I'm stressing just how many changes were going on. That's another change to what producers were told to do by record labels. um, that that was a change. It meant that the producers themselves were put in a different role than they used to be. They were the directors, if you will, and they directed, and the studios received what they directed, and that had changed. But no, we'd recorded in such big studio. I mean, such big studios that they all had, they were all really fine recordings and things like that. So
Good, good. And you get into video work very much? It seems to be something that you've kind of dabbled
Yeah,
with.
I really love I if I could do more of it, if I could had the ideas, I would do more of it. I love making videos. I actually love making the covers to my records. I like making covers to other people's records.
Cool.
If somebody out there wants a record jacket, I am your person
Oh, well.
because I love doing it. But yeah, I over the years that's always been a big part of what I've been involved with. I had a friend, or I still have a friend, Ben Niles, who was very helpful in navigating that with me for two records, for the second record on Artemis, which was The Future That Was, which also turns 25 next year. But I'm not, like I said, I'm
Yeah.
done with all of it. But he really brought me into the understanding that this is something you could do, Josh, if you wanted. You don't need me to be doing it. But he put things together very beautifully, and so he launched that ship for me many years ago.
Nice, nice. And GpYR is now more than a year old.
Yes,
Uh,
Gap Year is now a year old, and we're it was it's a record of return. It's like that having songs. I've never stopped writing songs, so I just wanted to be able to have said that I've taken a gap year and come back, and that's what it would be. And yeah, I put we put the record out last year, and I've been it's been a lot of fun returning to performing because that's really what I stopped. I just didn't want to tour. We had our daughter, and I wanted to be a stay-at-home dad, and I got that chance. So, how lucky am I? I've been able to do a lot of the things really because was a musician that had a lucky break.
yeah, that's so important though to be there for the kids, and and you were able to do that and spend time and
Mhm.
really be there and have a good environment for your daughter. The standout track I really like is Goodbye Berlin. It's
Oh,
just have like a little pinball wizardish
yeah,
riff in
yeah,
there.
that's right, exactly.
I love
Uh,
that.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Yeah, Berlin is a really special city, and I think about my friends when we moved from Lancaster to Baltimore. Some of the friends I was exposed to were very early on the rave scene, and they were very early to house music and raves and a culture. Again, for me, I was sort of spinning, um, but they would get these I guess bootleg tapes. Probably they weren't CDs; they were tapes, or they might have even been records, for all I know. But they were all these DJs from Berlin, and there was all of this sort of dance culture happening there. It was very debaucherous and very, and all of my friends in that world, their ambition was to get to Berlin. So thank you. I'm glad you like that song. That one has been with me for a long time, and reminds me of our our need or want to step up and do something big, and I like that. I like when people do that.
Do you check out your streaming numbers? Does that concern you? Just leave that to the others who are
I
managing.
I at the end of the day, I'm not complacent really. I love performing, and if I can keep doing it, I know what that means. I need to have enough people out there who would want to come and see me to keep doing this. So to that, and I do think about it but I think that I'm returning to music where, and again, I haven't had to deal with social media. I mean, think about that back in the day.
Oh, I know.
Nobody had to do their own videos of them saying, "Please come to my show" or something like that. So,
Yeah, right.
and so it's due. I am due. It's my time to start doing that kind of work, and making sure that because that's a part of what it is, and why should uh, all these musicians who've had to do it for 10 years,
Hmm.
have to to do it and me not. I do so I am right there with that. But no, I think if following that stuff, following social media to the extent that I think a lot of people feel like they have to, I really try not to, but I do understand I'm not above it and I participate in it, but I don't, it's not a huge part of my everyday.
Yeah, because it's tough. I mean, you're an artist, and you're having to deal with commerce as well. It's with
Mhm.
social media, it's promotion. It's
Yeah.
this other layer that just got
Yeah.
thrown on top of it.
Yeah, and I think look, I think the models that are out there are very difficult, and I say this on behalf of even the clubs that host live music. So, clubs, it used to be that you would never have a club that featured original music hosting a band that played retrospective, music, like a tribute band. Those two things would never happen, and now they happen all the time because the club needs to figure out a way to keep its doors open. And those things pay the bills. I don't know if it means that there won't be a place for original music at some point if you're not past a certain level. I don't know, and that's to be seen. I guess we'll see it. I, I'm pretty honest with my fans. I don't say it all the time, but I really do mean it. Like if you want your favorite musician or you want your favorite artists to be able to do this, the true way of making that realized is you have to go to their shows or you
Mm-hmm.
have to buy merch. But going to their shows is the most important thing, because if you don't, uh, that is the revenue stream. There is no other revenue stream for musicians. Realistically, yes, some of us can luck into to having songs put in movies and those things, but those are all luck. That's all.
Mm.
Not none of that is a skill. None of that you can count on. But can you go and play your local establishment, and hope that your friends turn out and your fans turn out and and others, that you have a lot more uh, say in. And so I mean, consistently live music is the only way. And if you love music and if you love even the arts, it's go to the gallery openings. That matters. Go out and see the things that you love. You have to participate. It can't just be online. It can't just be on social media. You have to physically bring your body into the room and breathe the air and take
Mm-hmm.
it in. So authors, if they're going out and they are doing a reading and you love them, go to that reading and buy their book. It's like we're all in this space now where we need the general public at
Yeah, it's
large
so true. It
to
really is.
to support this because that's it. There's no other way to do it.
Yeah, streamers don't pay anything. That's for
They
sure.
don't.
It's
Yeah.
it's it's
I have
nothing. It's
millions of streams, and I'd say at best I could probably take two people out to dinner,
mm,
and
unbelievable.
that's it.
Yeah.
It makes a huge difference if you have hundreds of millions of streams, sure, but that's a difference, it's insurmountable for somebody and when you think of people who don't have millions of streams, that just makes it it's just it's not even enough to get a cup of coffee. I mean, I know that's a cliche, but it's true.
It
So,
is.
and I know people want to find a new way. I think people are ingenious. I think they will. They'll figure out a way. I hope to manifest a new machine, a new future for the arts. I don't think we're anything without it, unless we just want to accept these devastating days that we're in now. That if we think about those things that are happening in this world right now, and not to have the reprieve of the arts
Mm.
and concerts and of museums and movies and books and all of these other things. So, we can't do it without support.
That is so true. Play live, connect with that audience, and get out there and do it. So, as far as the future goes, you're writing all the time. So,
I
do you
do.
have a stockpile of lyrics in
I
your
do, unfortunately.
phone, a
Yeah.
notebook, paper?
Yeah, yeah, actually, yes. They're sometimes they're in my phone now, which I really oughtn't do. So I go to the phone, but now I'm really doing a much better job of just getting them at least on my computer.
Yeah.
Yeah, so and then I record them. And that's usually on my phone.
And working stuff out, just strumming on your guitar, coming up with notes. Is that how you kind of you write your songs on guitar, basically?
Guitar and piano,
Some
but
piano.
mostly guitar. I'll write sometimes and then find melodies for what I've written. That's usually not nearly as successful, but sometimes it can pan out. But usually, yes, I'll hit a melody and then I'll think, oh, I should write to this, or they just come simultaneously. Something's just I'm catching something while it's there.
So another album in the works. Do you
Yes.
project a time?
I don't project a time now. I thought I would be recording it this summer. I think I am going to be doing it here soon. I have enough songs. I really want to get it out there, and
Yeah.
I don't take a ton of time to make records in the because I just think, well, this will be as good as I can do it, and a second take isn't going to make that better.
It's how it is in art. It's
Yeah.
how it is in video production where I'm at. It's like,
Yeah.
okay, you can mess with this edit as much as you can.
Exactly.
It's not going
But
to get any
it's
better.
yeah, exactly.
Oh, you could nitpick and nitpick all
Yeah,
day long.
totally, totally.
That's kind of how Steely Dan did that back in the day. It's just, oh my gosh, that would have driven me crazy
Yeah,
having to deal with them.
yeah. So yeah, but
Cool.
I typically just I want to get things to be good, but they just have to be good to whatever standard I guess I have, which is completely who knows it may or may not work, but it suits me.
Cool. And you'll be back out on the road as well. Probably
Yeah.
not wanting to do huge extensive tours or just, more one-offs.
Well, I would do touring. I would love to go out and tour. So, I'm that is something I'm looking forward to. But right now, I'm going to play the East Coast in October and then the Midwest in October. But hopefully it'll just grow. But I've been getting around. It's just I would love to be getting around more.
Yeah.
Only because I I enjoy doing it, and at the same time, what else am I going to be doing at this point?
Yeah. It looks like you play regularly. You got the city wineries and those kind of places. Yeah.
Totally.
Yeah, those are nice venues, city winery. We got that here in Atlanta.
Yeah, they're very, very nice. They are really nice people too. So they're very nice to have me.
Cool. So where can we get your latest EP? Obviously, joshjoplingroup.com.
That can work, or you can follow me on Instagram, which is Josh Joplin Group. Everything's Josh Joplin Group. If there's a Josh Joplin, there's like maybe one other Josh Joplin out there, and he's a constable in Missouri, and that's not me. So I'm the other one. Yeah, you can find it, but Bandcamp, it's available on my website. It's available everywhere. If you want vinyl, website. So yeah, it's there.
Cool. Well, good deal. Best wishes
Thank you
and the
so much, Brad.
next record in your tour and all that.
Thank you. I really appreciate you having me. Thank you.
Take care. Talk with you soon.
Take care.
Cheers. And we're back. Thank you so much for joining me. I hope you were enlightened. It was a really nice conversation and get useful music 25th anniversary wherever you can get your music and anything else from the Josh Joplin group. Look them up. A lot of great albums out there. And he'll have something out new probably in the new year. So enjoy. Talk with you later.